I just saw an excellent short the other day from this woman who was saying that all these red pill guys that she's dated.
Sorry, I did not mean to so viscerally roll my eyes there.
No, you were right to. You were right to. I think.
Yeah.
But they're all streamers. Like we stream things. Is that what you say?
I'm a
live
streamer.
Streamers?
Yeah.
Like, how? I mean, I know I am, so I know it's hypocritical
You're
to say
streaming right
this.
now, yeah.
Right, but it does feel kind of unmasculine if you're going to walk around pounding your chest saying that women are this or that marriage is this, and what you do for a living is stream your thoughts.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. I haven't really
considered. It's very
considered.
manly, man. Wow, how
the
cool.
The red pill movement in general is just very mind-boggling to me, to be honest with you. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
For those watching who are old like me, explain what red-pilled men are.
From my understanding, and I kind of importantly distance myself from this on purpose because I just don't have the emotional bandwidth to keep up with it every day. It's sort of this like hyper overcorrection of masculinity and the alpha male movement. So you hear a couple of names thrown around, like an Andrew Tate, for example, and it's these people who create content geared towards men specifically that typically involves discussing women, but is usually geared towards men. That's encouraging men to just reject anything associated with women whatsoever. So never ever get married because it's going to hold you back.
Isn't this the inverse of feminism?
Yes,
we
it is
don't need
quite
women.
literally
a man needs a woman like a fish needs a bike. Okay.
Very well said. Never get married because the whole institution is set up to make you fail. The whole institution is set up for a woman to divorce you and to take all of your money, and you're never going to be happy and you're never going to be successful. You should work as many jobs as possible so that you can amass as much money as possible to buy as many sports cars as possible and fancy watches and very nice designer clothes and live in a penthouse in Dubai somewhere. And then also, you should expect a woman that you engage in a relationship with, probably very loosely, I'm using that word relationship because you're not committing. She should have a body count. I hate that word. It means how many people that you've slept with, but they've coined this phrase of zero. Okay. She should have a body count of 0, but you should expect to have as many numbers as you possibly can on your side of things. And I just keep thinking to myself, the math doesn't math there. Like eventually you're going to run out of women with the number 0. And then what? You guys are just going to sleep with each other? I don't understand logically how that works.
I don't know if I use the word effeminate anymore. I would say that's quite effeminate, but I'm going to clarify that because somebody pointed out to me that effeminate means something different than I thought it did. It just means like what women do, and obviously, so that's wrong. Thomas Aquinas uses the word effeminate. I don't know what the translation is in the Latin.
Let's look it up. Why not?
Well, all right. What do you mean? Look up what?
Let's look up what the Latin roots of this are.
Well, Thursday, you want to look this up? When Aquinas uses the word effeminate, what does he mean? I know what the definition. So the definition, thank you. The definition here is having feminine qualities untypical of a man, not manly in appearance or manner. So the reason I don't like calling red-pilled men effeminate, though I want to because I wish to insult them, is because it makes it sound like you're acting like women who are essential, but that's not true.
No, I actually think it sounds silly. This will make me sound...
I think emasculine, maybe. I think unmasculine.
It's almost what culture is trying to paint toxic masculinity to be, but they're just doing it. As if like the feminist movement's understanding of masculinity actually came true. Just to put a button on that point though, about when Aquinas uses the word effeminate, he means softness. Okay, so take women out of it because it can sound rather insulting. Obviously women are strong and good and beautiful in their own right. But it seems to me that if a man refuses to commit to a woman and to lay down his life for her and to desire children who he wishes to serve and father, that this is soft. Yeah, it's the opposite of truly masculine, like to be strong and to have ownership over your impulses or your innate desires as a man, as a human, is to lay down your life, to put aside your own desires, to put aside your innate needs. Strength on behalf of others, I think, is the masculine genius here. Okay. Yeah. Effeminate comes from, so this is, again, I don't know if this is the Latin that he uses, but let's see, effeminatus from the, I don't know what that means. Out of woman, I think is what. Out of woman, it means made feminine, emasculated, weakened. So, I mean, fair enough, right? Like if a fella is no longer strong, I suppose you could say he's effeminate in the way that a woman isn't as strong physically as a man. Yeah. But anyway, I just say that because all right. Unmasculine. I think that's the term I'm going to use from now.
I like the term emasculated.
Yeah, I do
like
too.
Porn emasculates a man.
Actually, scientifically it does too. As a total side note, it literally makes it impossible for you to have actual successful sexual intimacy experiences.
It certainly can.
Yeah.
It can lead to erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation, which aren't boons within marriage, let's say. But yeah, I think it does. It robs a man of the ability to be masculine. And by masculine, I mean strength on behalf of others. Mm-hmm. And this is something men want. I mean, every movie men love. I don't mean I don't mean find funny, but I mean that stirs their soul. You try to think of one that isn't this. It seems like the protagonist is a man who sacrifices himself in some way for something he loves, be that a woman or a country or his family. And we see that and something is stirred within us. We know that this is something, what's the feminine genius? If the masculine genius is strength on behalf of others, here we go. The term molletize means softness. Okay, so there you go. So that's interesting that was translated as effeminate.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I guess I can see.
That's why it's always important to go to the original language when you're reading these things.
Women tend to be softer than men, physically at least. So it seems, and maybe emotionally. So it seems that it's understandable. But okay,
feminine genius.
I think it has to have to do with, you tell me, but nurturing, mothering, bringing forth. Like my wife I'd like you to meet her. I don't know when you leave.
I'd love to meet her, yeah.
Do you know much about Cammie?
I don't too much.
She's a lion. She's like a powerful woman, but not powerful in a sort of bull-busting way, but in a sort of like, what would I say? Just if she sees an injustice, she fights it. Like I'll just say this right now. Like right now, my wife we have a baby in our house because the Sisters of Life contacted us because some woman wanted to have an abortion. We got in touch with her. The just love and ferocity of my wife's concern for others is beautiful.
I actually love that you compared her to a lion too. I love that imagery. We see it all the way throughout scripture, and we see it with C.S. Lewis's writings. We see it everywhere in human and God-based interactions. I studied abroad in Zambia in college. I worked in the medical field down there. And when we were on safari, it was fascinating seeing all of the lions in Botswana hunting and providing for the larger community that they lived in. It's always the women. And the women do the fighting, the women do the hunting, and they do all of this instead of the man. And you might think the opposite is true because
I'll read that in a second, Thursday. Keep that up there.
You might think the opposite is true because of how we've created like the Lion King imagery and all of that. But there's something ferociously strong about providing for your family that comes from women. And that's not weak in any way.
It goes ugly when it severs itself from wanting to mother. And to love her husband, I think. It becomes like ugly and sterile. And I think it's like that with men. Like when the desire to be strength on behalf of others turns inward. And so it's like, if love is, I want your good for your sake, then lust is, I want my good at your expense. And it's like, ugh, that's so distorted. It's actually ugly. So here's what Aquinas says. And this has to do with what we were just talking about with being effeminate. And again, we're going to just translate that word as softness since it seems that that's what it means. The philosopher, by which he means Aristotle, says that the persevering man is opposed to the effeminate or softness. I answer that perseverance is deserving of praise because thereby a man does not forsake a good on account of long endurance of difficulties and toils, and is directly opposed to this. Seemingly, for a man to be ready to forsake a good on account of difficulties which he cannot endure. Let's just pause on that line for a moment and apply that to the idea of red-pilled men, right? For a man to be, and to myself, wretched as I am, for a man to be ready to forsake a good, and when Aquinas talks about evil, he says that evil is obviously the deprivation of a good, but that whenever we choose evil, we don't choose it for it being evil. We choose it because it seems to us
good.
To
us, yeah.
And so you think, well, there's a perception in pornography. Let's just use that as an example, as a good. It gives me something. I feel a certain way, and I like that feeling. And so, all right, a man to be ready to forsake a good, and here we could say the perceived good of pornography and fornication, right, on account of difficulties which he cannot endure. And this is what we talked about earlier about the man who struggles against his lower passions to bring them in accord with reason so he can be a free man. This is what we understand by softness, because a thing is said to be soft if it readily yields to the touch. And that's why I've heard it said, and I repeat, that pornography is a sort of a cream puff. It turns a man into a cream puff, right? And again, by the way, I just want to point out, if you're a man who struggles with pornography,
you're not alone.
You're not alone, and this isn't meant to shame you or anyone or a woman who's falling to this. It's just to say this is what it will make you. You will no longer be able to endure the desire for sexual intimacy without caving. And it will train you in softness. It will emasculate you. Said to be soft if it readily yields to the touch. Now, a thing is not declared to be soft through yielding to a heavy blow. All right, so you think of a man who's raised with pornography from the age of 7, and he finds himself, something shows up on the screen without his willing it, and all right, so there's a struggle there. Then even if he falls, we're not saying you're soft in the sense that a man is soft who chooses to be weak. For wolves yield to the battering ram. So I think of myself, like I was 8 years old when I stumbled across porn. This wasn't my fault. It took me a long time to realize that wasn't my fault. Wherefore a man is not said to be soft if he yields to heavy blows. Hence, Aristotle says that it is no wonder if a person is overcome by strong and overwhelming pleasures or sorrows, but he is to be pardoned if he struggles against them. We'll leave it there. Thanks a lot for that, Thursday. That's really good, this idea of struggling. I want to point out too, and I'll wrap up and let you speak. But I have a course called strive21.com/Matt. It's a 21-day detox from porn course that I created. And so it's very well produced. I did it with Covenant Eyes. It's 100% free. We've had over 40,000 men go through the course. But if you're tired of porn turning you into a cream puff, strive21.com. And if you're a lady who is struggling with pornography, I know the shame can be great there. I have friends who run a wonderful ministry called Magdala Ministries. And it's a wonderful group of women who are helping other women. I want to tell you about a course that I have created for men to overcome pornography. It is called strive21.com/Matt. You go there right now, or if you text STRIVE to 66866, we'll send you the link. It's 100% free, and it's a course I've created to help men, to give them the tools to overcome pornography. Usually men know that porn is wrong. They don't need me or you to convince them that it's wrong. What they need is a battle plan to get out. And so I've distilled all that I've learned over the last 15 or so years as I've been talking and writing on this topic into this one course. Think of it as if you and I could have a coffee over the next 21 days and I would kind of guide you along this journey. That's basically what this is. It's incredibly well produced. We had a whole camera crew come and film this. And I think it'll be a real help to you. And it's also not an isolated course that you go through on your own, because literally tens of thousands of men have now gone through this course. And as you go through the different videos, there's comments from men all around the world encouraging each other, offering to be each other's accountability partners and things like that. Strive21, that's strive21.com/Matt, or as I say, text STRIVE to 66866 to get started today. You won't regret it.